This is Chapter 9 Test Review, and this is number 2. Alright, for this first one, notice that we are adding, so that means that we're just combining like terms. So we have the x squared terms, we have the x terms, and then we have the constants. So 4x squared plus 7x squared minus x squared, that's going to be 11 minus 1 is 10x squared, plus 7x minus 3x is going to be plus 4x, and then plus 9 minus 11 minus 2 is going to be minus 4. So that would be your final answer, because remember, you're just adding, so none of the exponents should change. You're just counting how many you have of each. Number 2, find the perimeter of the trapezoid. So just remember that when you find the perimeter of something, you add up all of the side lengths. So same thing here. You're just going to add 3x plus x plus 3x plus x squared. And remember, you only combine like terms, so 3x plus 1x plus 3x is 7x. And we do write it in descending order, so x squared plus 7x. And that would be your final answer. The A, B, C, and D, don't let that confuse you, because that's just naming the trapezoid. The x is the actual side length. Alright, this one, based on the models, which product is represented by the diagram? There's 2 ways you could do it. Once you figure out what this actually stands for, you can either multiply out your options to see which one matches, or you can work backwards and factor. So that's the method I prefer. This one is an x squared, this one's an x squared, that's an x, that's an x, that's an x, x, and 3 1s. So I know that based on my key up here. So I have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. And so I think it's actually easier just to work backwards. So I'm going to slide and divide in order to factor. X squared plus 5x plus 6. So that becomes x plus 2, x plus 3. And then because I move the 2 in the beginning, I'm going to divide by 2. So I get x plus 1, 2x plus 3. So then I know it has to be A. For number 4, find the product. So remember, that means you're multiplying. So you could either just think of it as distribution, or you could have made yourself a chart. So 4x times 2x squared negative x minus 3, 8x cubed minus 4x squared minus 12x. And in this case, you're done, because there's nothing else to combine. Again, find the product, so that means you are multiplying. I prefer to draw the box, so 2x and 1, x squared minus 5x minus 4. That becomes 2x cubed minus 10x squared minus 8x, and then x squared minus 5x minus 4. And here, remember, is where you have to be careful and combine like terms. So x squared and negative 10x squared will go together. And then negative 5x and negative 8x will go together. So we end up with 2x cubed minus 9x squared minus 13x minus 4. And that would be your final answer. Alright, factor out the greatest common monomial factor. So remember, this means that it's kind of like undoing the distribution. You're taking out the greatest common factor. So I like to think about it in two parts. You have the number part. So in other words, 4, 8, 12, and 16. I want to think about what's their greatest common factor. Well, 4 will go into all of those. And then variable-wise, what's the biggest thing that will go in? So a cubed, ab, a squared, b squared. So a is the next biggest thing that will go in. So then I'm just going to divide everything by 4a to figure out what's left. 4 divided by 4 is 1, a cubed divided by a is a squared, 8 divided by 4 is 2, a divided by a is 1, and b is left over. 3a, 4ab squared. Technically, you might see this written in descending alphabetical order, so it might say a squared plus 3a plus 4ab squared plus 2b. But either way, that first one would still be correct. You just might see it written the other way. Factor completely. Remember, this is a difference of squares, so you're trying to figure out what plus what gives you 0. That when multiplied together gives you negative 81. So that would be negative 9 and positive 9. Or you might have realized that that's a difference of squares. Then you get x minus 9, x plus 9. Alright, again, factor completely, so I'm looking for factors of 12 that give me negative 8. So that's going to be negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Oh, sorry, just kidding. Negative 2 times negative 6. So that's okay. If you test them and you realize, oh, negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7, so that's not right, go back and fix it. Negative 2 times negative 6 would be negative 8. So then I end up with x minus 2, x minus 6, and that is factored all the way. Here I have a larger coefficient, so I have to slide and divide. If I take 2, slide it to 3, I get x squared plus 5x plus 6. That factors into x plus 2, x plus 3, and then I need to go back and divide by 2. So I end up with x plus 1, 2x plus 3. This one first I need to factor and then set equal to 0 to solve. So factors of negative 36 that give me negative 16 would be 18 and 2. So I get x minus 18, x plus 2 equals 0. Then I'm going to set each side equal to 0. So I get x minus 18 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. X equals 18 and x equals negative 2. So just be very careful and think about whether it's asking you for solutions or whether it's asking you to factor. Because the solutions, remember, are going to be different than the factors. Alright, and number 11, the profit equation for a publishing company is represented by P equals x squared minus 160,000. How many copies of a book do they need to sell in order to break even? So P equals 0. Remember, if you're investing in something, once you make your money back, that's breaking even. So we're just asking how many books do they have to sell to make that happen. Well, you might recognize that this is actually a difference of squares. So this will factor into x minus 400 times x plus 400. Okay, and if you're not sure and you see something like that, take the square root of that number in your calculator and see what it gives you. So if that's equal to 0, just like I did before, I'm going to set each side equal to 0. Okay, so I get x equals positive 400 and x equals negative 400. But in the context of this real-world situation, you're not going to sell negative copies of a book, so technically 400 is my only answer. And that would be it for part 2.